like many of my videos, I'm sure this one's going to cause a bit of wrath in people. You know, the real problem is people spend so much time obsessing about how others live, the decisions they make, any privilege, rather than focus on their own part of life. They continually focus on what other people have, and I just think it's not good for you at all. It's detrimental, and wishing for someone else's downfall or focusing on what they have will not elevate your own life. It's counterproductive and it's pointless, and it just causes misery to others for no reason. So why do it? Because people don't like to go without. So they would rather, what people would rather do is they'd rather spite someone. They'd rather someone else, if they're going to have nothing, they'd feel far more comfortable with someone else having nothing, because then it's evened out, it's fair. It's a stupid way to live. I'm going to get deeper into actually what I'm talking about here, because I think it's really important. But like I say, before we even get there, I'm just laying the groundwork that I know full well the majority of people are not going to agree with me. But the way I see it is they're seeing it through the wrong lens. And it's just the way it is. You know, you can't make people put the right glasses on and see the world in the way it is. If they're going to see it in the way they want it to be and the little illusion they have. It's about empowering ourselves to sort of to make things happen for ourselves rather than wish a downfall on someone else. And once you have that mindset, it's just logical. When you sit there and expect someone else to come and solve every problem you have, you're always going to be a victim. Being the victim in every story doesn't inspire anything. It doesn't create change. So anyway, I'm not without compassion. Of course, I know people struggle. I struggle myself, but I never expect anyone to be my savior. It's I will outgrow my circumstance. That's always what my attitude is. I will outgrow the environment I find myself. So I will create that change. I don't sit there in a pity party and not grow and transcend the situation. But no point do I sit here and think, oh, someone's going to be my savior. Maybe an opportunity happens to change a circumstance, but I'm more than capable of doing it myself too, you know? So, and it'll be, if an opportunity comes, it's because I place myself in a situation where the opportunity happens. But you get people who are not doing anything. Now, that's not really in relation to what I'm talking about here, but if we talk about jealousy and frustration, that's always going to be rife, isn't it? Someone's got more talent, more skills, more connections, so they network better, they have more, or maybe of an outgoing personality, or they have something else. There's always going to be something that someone else takes issue with. So their jealousy runs rampant. But I always say it, we have the same amount of hours in a day. We may not have the same privileges, but we have the same potential. So if you want to improve your life in whatever way it is, it's like go after it yourself. Now, this is quite a basic way of thinking, because I'm delaying. I'm delaying because I know as soon as I put this picture up, the majority of people, because they're so frustrated with their life, and there is a part of life that is incredibly heartbreaking and tragic. So when I speak on topics, I'm not without compassion, but it's really important that we apply logic and we apply reason and we're balanced. I don't live my life with a bias. I'm always what I consider fair. So I don't look up at people with privilege, wealth, status, and I don't look down at them either. And I don't look down at people who maybe are poor, uneducated, all those things. I don't look down at people. I'd rather just uplift them and inspire them. Of course, you know, if someone of privilege was to come across my content or come speak to me in person, hopefully I'll help them be a bit more grounded and see the world in more of a pure way rather than one where you feel entitled and all those things. So yeah, everything should be balanced though, for sure. And if we talk about wealth, yeah, wealth should be far more balanced in the world, but it isn't. And is it for one individual to have to give up so much for other people? And it's really for them to determine for themselves, but it's not for us to order people to live a lifestyle. So we can empower ourselves to outgrow a situation, and we can also humble ourselves to be a part of this world in a pure way. Because I think some people do get ahead of themselves and they think they're better and all those things. But perhaps in certain parts of society they are better, but ultimately there'll be a time and a place when we all have to blend together. So even someone wealthy and privileged who maybe lives a very curated life and it's very protected, and they feel invincible. There might be a time when they're in a vulnerable situation where money doesn't save them, money doesn't protect you. So, it can only get you so far in the life. So anyway, we're going to get on with this video. Let's get on with what I'm going to say now, because it is going to trigger the shit out of people. And I say that because the comments section in the video I'm going to share, I haven't gone through the whole comments, and I just did the first few. And I just find, what it is, I find people jump on trends. I'm not a trend person. If anyone sees any of my content, you'll know I have original thought, and I despise trend. I hate the sheep culture. Don't like it where people just follow each other, create the same narrative, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and they think they're original. They think they've come up with some sort of special concept, and they've, and it's just like, it's delusional. You just I don't want to say moron. I'm struggling not to say it. I really am. So anyway, I think I've said it. But okay, let's just say it, because I've already alluded to it. You follow a moron and you copy a moron. You're just portraying yourself as a moron. And if you start to embody their values, you're going to be a moron. So that copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, we've got a clone of morons. It's just that what was it doesn't make you wise. That's the thing. When people think they jump on trends, they think they're popular, because it becomes a popular topic. But to me, they lack any depth and substance. And they just regurgitate things they've heard before. Me, I hear something, I see something, and I have my own opinion on it. And often it goes against the crowd. Not because I want to go against the crowd. It's just that large parts of society are sheep. They're just copycats. And they all want to be martyrs. They all just want to jump on a bandwagon of something, and it's just crazy to me. Rather than stop and think and have an original thought, which sometimes it can transcend both. You might agree with certain aspects of something, but you might not 100% agree. And it's okay to be different. But most people, especially in today's age, they all want to be part of a trend. And I just think it's sad and a little bit pathetic. Now, I'd say this one's a little bit heartbreaking in the terms of the topic we're going to discuss, and I get it. I get both sides of the coin, and that's hopefully what I'm going to be able to portray, but I might get so defensive I go so heavily one way, and that can happen, of course. But we're going to see. I mean, like I say, I'm going to irritate the living shit out of some people now. So, we've got a situation with James Van Der Beek. He died of cancer. It's not an ignorance. We can't follow every topic in the world. We can't follow every single individual in the world. So we're not always aware of the circumstances surrounding people. I wasn't aware of his circumstance. Maybe I've heard of it in the past. I might have done briefly, but not enough that it was part of my daily thoughts or anything. So when he passed, it was new to me. I was like, bloody hell, lost another one, Now, of course, people die all the time, and there's so many people nowadays that get cancer. And it's a horrible illness. I've mentioned it in one of my books. I said, because my stepdad passed away from cancer as well. And I said, there's only it's one of 3 words that's terrify the life out of people. One is fire. The other is shark. You shout fire, people panic. You shout shark, it's a frenzy. And if you hear the word cancer, you just stop immediately. It breaks your heart for those suffering and those who love and end up having to mourn the loss. And it's not an easy thing to cope with. It's something that just slowly eats at you, And I've witnessed it. It's a horrible thing to happen to anybody. So I find the sad part when others are jealous of someone else that's maybe getting support. It's just spiteful. People suffering, it doesn't matter if you've come from privilege or if you're poor. The loss is felt. It's felt on a human level, and of course, it potentially on a financial level. If you've relied upon that person in your life, and without them, life's going to be hard. Now, people might not want to hear it, but we all get used to a certain way of living. So if you've lived a life of wealth and privilege, I call it privilege, but it's like a lot of time it's earned. But it's privilege because it's something, a means that a lot of people don't have. And I can understand with people taking umbrage or exception. People probably don't know what umbrage. And I can understand people being offended by that. The idea that someone who lives a more of a lavish lifestyle would have a hard time adjusting to maybe living a more modest life. And if money was spread more fairly, you could help so many people rather than just one. See, I get it. I understand that. But the big thing really is, who are we to tell people where they can invest and spend their money? And why should we tell someone, you don't deserve that? You shouldn't be accepting it and all those things. Who is anyone to make that demand of someone on their life? And why should someone be made to feel bad about themselves and trying to provide for their family during a moment of such tragic loss? Like, how? I'm trying not to be horrible here, but how much of an absolute asshole have you got to be to try to wish bad on someone else and be so spiteful and resentful you wish they struggled because you're struggling? Two negatives don't make a positive. So when I saw just even a brief comments, I just thought, imbeciles, cretins. So the people might not like my take on it, but believe me, if you're on that side, I'm saying it now, I think you're a moron. Up your own arse. You wish for privilege, you don't have it, so you despise and spite anybody that does. Does that make you better? I think it makes you worse. The other person isn't trying to hurt your life, not trying to wish bad on you. Well, of course they don't know who you are, but for the most part, they wouldn't. They've got their own little bubble. So why can't people stay in their own little bubble? Why wish negative? See, I'm not someone that goes through my life bitter, resentful. So I don't seek revenge on people. I don't get jealous, so I don't care what other people have. So I don't see it as a case of, if you've got that, that's why I don't have this. It's not a case at all. Why can't we both have that? So, maybe the circumstances. Maybe in this life we won't have the same things, but okay, I focus on what I have. So my lifestyle's far more modest. I can get by on very little, but that's because I'm comfortable with that. I'm used to it. Someone else that isn't used to it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, of course, for them to adapt and change and lower their expectations. I get it. But that's for them to decide. And if their circumstances demand that, then of course they would have no choice but to end up reducing their lifestyle. But it's not for anyone to demand it of someone else. The other side is, where people spend their money is their choice. I've already said that. So, James Van Der Beek, film actor, he knows people in the entertainment industry. The people in the entertainment industry can spend their money however they want. People might not like it. They might say you've got privilege, you've got wealth, you've got status. You could do a lot more good humanitarian things with that. Absolutely. People with an awful lot of wealth could do an awful lot with their money rather than just hoard it. And I agree. But it isn't for me to tell them how they should spend their money, where they should invest it, what cause they should support. That's for them to decide. Likewise, if they don't want to do those things and they'd rather just invest it in themselves and indulge, that's their life. Who is it for any of us to tell someone how to spend their money? What gives you the right? That's the thing. Because people have this weird fascination with those people, like people with fame and wealth. They get so obsessed with it, but it's none of our business. So I've seen it now. I've seen, I think it's Steven Spielberg and some others. They've invested like $20,000 each. I think it was going rate about $25,000 each. Which you think, okay, they've got millions and millions and millions. They could give more. You could argue that. But anything's generous. And who's to, how much is ever enough? And, maybe they pay $25,000 there. Maybe they're supporting other people we don't see. Maybe they don't. But again, it's none of our business. But on the face of it, when someone has millions and millions, you'd say, what's $25,000 to them? It's still generous. But those $25,000 add up, don't they? Maybe you get another movie star. You get another director. You get another person who's seen what he's been through. And all of a sudden, he's got this, the pot becomes bigger. So now, if you can see in the image here, it says $2.6 million. So all those $25,000 and all these other bits, they've all added up to become this mass amount of money. So all of a sudden, this famous person could have paid more, but now rather than that be the motto, it's now, wait a minute, everyone's paid too much. That's now what people are saying. They paid too much. There was something else I was going to say there because something just jogged into my mind. I saw another video. I can't remember what I was going to say now with that, unfortunately. You have to let that go. I can't remember where I was going because I was so drawn into this side of things. But I can understand that. Let's say someone else has gone through a situation where you've lost a family member or you've not even lost them yet. Maybe you're going through a crisis and, because when you get cancer, you can't work. The state benefits is never enough. So all of a sudden it is a crisis, and I get it. But wishing someone else doesn't have something isn't going to solve a problem. And the other side to that is, of course, people tend to donate or support where they're familiar. It's where they spend their money. So it's not a case of if they didn't support James Van Der Beek, they would give the money to you or a family member or someone you know. Or it's not the case at all. If it wasn't that cause, it could be something else, or it might not be anything. Maybe they support someone else. Maybe they pick a different cause. But that is the thing that bothers me. It goes beyond this notion of cancer, because of course that's a horrible thing to have. But it goes beyond it to the point where I can't help but think it doesn't matter where someone spends money. If it's not spent in the direction of someone that feels offended, it's never good enough. So, for instance, let's say you're going to invest in a charity. Like I like donkeys. So people might think, well, who gives a shit about a donkey? I care about donkeys. They seem really, really friendly. They seem really nice. They deserve to be happy, and they get mistreated all the time. And that's something that's vulnerable, and they don't have any sort of say in their quality of life. And yet they're abused and all sorts. And I mean, everyone, even animals, deserve freedom and a quality of life. And I'm sick of them being mistreated. So let's say I had money and I could pick any cause on the planet. And there's so many causes. You could anything and everything, isn't there? Let's say I'm going to invest some money into this sanctuary for donkeys so they keep getting to help them. And I know they're looked after and I know they're free and they're safe. And it'd make me happy, because I know not everybody looks out for donkeys. Someone else who has maybe another passion for something else, or they need something else, they're going to be offended. Why would you spend money on that when I need money over here? Everybody's problems isn't someone else's. And it's not for them to determine where we invest our money. So it goes full circle. It goes beyond it. And I know it goes beyond it because I see it all the time. If someone's struggling, they feel it's not fair. And they feel someone should be coming to save them. But it's impossible to save everybody. So we have to focus on trying to get through a circumstance ourselves. Now, look, I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice, and I think it'd be really generous if people who actually went out of their way, who had wealth and privilege, to help those who could do with some support. But it's not for one person or two people or five to fix everybody's problems. It's just not. And I think wishing for someone's downfall or taking exception to this, it's losing sight of reality. So, just from my point of view, is when I see something like this, I don't get offended. If I didn't see the comments and I just saw the article, it doesn't offend me at the slightest. Yeah, I'm used to struggling financially. So someone else having $2.6 million, I don't even think about it. That's none of my business. What do I care? What someone has, whether they have hundreds of millions, it's none of my business. I'm not entitled to it. It's like if someone wants to invest in me and give support, that's beautiful. Thank you. That's nice. But I won't go around saying you don't deserve that, you don't deserve that. Who am I to make that proclamation? The way I see it is everybody deserves it. So that's the part where people get, I think they get skewed up. They think, no, that should be split and go everywhere, and we should all get a little. If you split $2.6 million amongst everybody that has cancer, for instance, it's not going to go far. Or was it? I mean, I couldn't say how many. Let's say you end up with $1 each. What's that going to do? And that's what it is. When you start slicing it and slicing it and slicing it, it becomes meaningless. So why can't one person have something great? Now, again, I understand it's disproportionate to the average person's salary and the way we live, but for the most part, it's none of our business. So if someone has money or someone doesn't, it's no one else's business. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't you? If you haven't got enough money, you're pathetic. If you have too much, you're greedy. So what's fair? What number would make people comfortable? But that's like the hypocrisy, really, because it's like it doesn't work. You know, someone it's the ones that moan would feel comfortable having, for the most part. I'm not saying every single person, but for the most part, they'd be comfortable having that situation because they think that's fair. And then when people moan about them, they'd think, "What are you talking about? I deserve this." Well, it's funny when you have it, it's reasonable. When you don't have it, it's not fair. But like I say, people have already, they're suffering losses, they're suffering tragedies. And I think to be so rude as to suggest that they should downsize, they should adjust their lifestyle, they should change their home, and all those things. I just think it's deplorable. Because like I say, it's no one's business. You got memories in that place. I understand the value of it all. But why do people feel that it's their business to be involved in what someone else has and how they spend their money? This obsession that people have, I just think it's mental. I've always found that strange, how people obsess over other people's lives all the time. That's why you get these magazines with the gossip sections and things. This celebrity's doing this person's doing that. And then people just, a lot of them, they just gravitate to it and they read all of it and then they gossip about it further and they spread all this information. And it's like the topic of their day. But it's like, why is that interesting to you? Why is what someone else is doing interesting? It should be focused on your own life. But people want an escape. So either they want to look at other people and see the mess they have and it makes them feel better about their life, or they want to take exception to something else as validation as to why they're struggling. To say, look, that's why I'm struggling because the world isn't fair. No, the world isn't fair, but you're going to have to make peace with it and try and carve out your own destiny. And sometimes life's going to give us a curveball that's just incredible, like gut punching. And I can understand that it's not fair when someone else seems to have far more than you, and it's very disproportionate. But the reality is, whether they have it or not, your circumstance likely to be the same anyway. So what's the point in being spiteful and hating someone that has something? Why not just think good for you? I mean, is it that hard? Because there's so much bitterness and jealousy in people, they can't even bring themselves to muster it. I don't care. So anyway, let's have a look at some of the comments. We'll see if we can get anything. It's a bit of a shame I forgot the thing I was going to talk about as well. It popped into my head. There's a woman I saw about a few weeks ago on a video. I think it's about James Van Der Beek. I just can't remember what it was about now. No, I can't remember. So I have to just let that go. So they're saying, again, how do people know someone's exact personal circumstances unless they're part of their family and they know them deeply? So this first comment, talking about his wife, she's not broke. She just didn't want to downsize or give up one of her homes, the homes. Where have you got that information from? Let's just go. We'll open this up. This again, I want to show where society's at. Is that one person's view? Is it many people's view? We've got comments. And why she should. I think they mean why should she? Exactly, that's what I'm saying. She can't afford it anymore. So you would leave the house where your 6 children lived all their life instead of finding a solution. That's good, because that's what I'm thinking. You got memories there. I saw something completely different to this. And it was someone that's living in a 4-bed house, and there's only 3 people living there. So people are saying that's selfish. You should give up that room. It's a council homes, so there's another family could live there. But it's like, if you've got memories there, it's up to people how they live. Stop telling people how they should live. Telling people that you should upheaval your life because then someone else can go there. That might be someone that doesn't respect the house. They abuse it. They smash it up. Who knows? Why should you give up somewhere where you're entitled to be because someone else thinks it's rude? People need to just start staying in their own lane and stop commenting on every little thing, So anyway, see where else we go with this. Why should people give money to millionaires when children are literally starving in America? Look, I get what they're saying, but where are you giving money? If you think about it this way, where are you giving the money to the millionaires? If you decide to go, this is what it is, and this is where I think people get they get so obsessed, I think, with fame, but also how people live and what they have. Yes, it's disproportionate to reality in the sense of how the everyday person works, and I get that. But let's say a movie comes out and you want to go and see the film. you pay to watch the film, or you get it on DVD, or however you're paying to see this film, the money goes somewhere. If it doesn't go to the actors, if it doesn't go to those who create the movie, it will only go to the studio. So the studio heads, the chairmans, or whatever they are, the CEOs, they end up incredibly wealthy, disproportionately wealthy. They end up the billionaires, the crazy people. So the money has to go somewhere. Now, if you trickle it all the way back to where that money was invested in the first place, you spent $15 on a cinema ticket, whatever it costs, or a DVD or Blu-ray. You've got to ask yourself, at source, where you purchased said ticket or film, was that good value? Because you can run a rat race you can go mental trying to do all the calculations and permeations to how this money ended up mass amounts, because a mass amount of people enjoyed it. So if you bought something and you enjoyed it, it was good value. For me personally, I liked physical media, so I buy my Blu-rays. If I didn't think it was value, I wouldn't buy it. When I buy it, I'm really happy with what I have. I'm happy. How that money gets dispersed after is none of my business. It's none of my business. I'm not going to say I'm not going to buy a film because I don't want other people to be wealthy. That's really stupid. I can't have things I enjoy because I'm so spiteful and resentful of what other people have. It's delusional. So I'll spend money how I want. I enjoy that. If it turns out millions and millions of people also enjoyed that product and decided to spend similarly to me, and that made people incredibly wealthy, that's their business. But this reality, this thing where people keep saying we're making people wealthy, yeah, because you're enjoying stuff. Now, there is a difference between helping, contributing to someone's wealth, which is through means like that, and obsessing over famous people through celebrity culture, which I absolutely despise. Putting people on pedestals and treating them like you're messiahs and all those things, I think it's delusional. It's stupid. It's a fantasy. You can enjoy people in movies, you can enjoy their music, but you don't have to start acting like they're icons and all this shit. Because that's where I get lost. I don't care about none of that crap. I wouldn't lose myself. If I bumped into Ariana Grande, for instance, I'm not going to go, oh my God, it's Ariana. I say, oh, I recognize you. I've seen you on telly and music. You're just someone I recognize. You won't know who I am, but I know who you are because I've seen you. But beyond that, I mean, maybe she looked pretty in real life. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe they have an aura about them. Maybe they don't. But overall, I don't care about their prominence. It means nothing to me. It's not me being spiteful. I just don't care. But how they live their life is none of my business. So let's say you bump into someone like that. You're in their company for a period, and then I go back to my modest home, or I don't have a lot. My finances are tighter. They go back to their luxury life. I don't care. Their life is none of my business. I go back to the life I have. I am in my life. So you've got to learn. People got to learn to be comfortable in their own bubble and stop projecting outwards. So there's a level of, I think, feeding people's ego and delusion by that celebrity culture. Yeah, that's what people contribute to by getting obsessed with them. It's up to them. You want to keep sitting outside getting autographs all the time. It's up to, if you think that's valuable, I think it's pointless as shit. I don't even know why you'd want it. What does that do for you? It's just sad. It's a sad reality. Stop doing that shit and it'll stop feeding their ego. If you really want to do that, because you're just wasting your time. But if we're talking about wealth, like I just said there, people deserve to get paid for the work they do. And if it doesn't go there, it goes somewhere else. So it really makes no difference, personally to me. So where someone's saying why should people give money to millionaires when children are literally starving in America? I mean, what's the alternative? I mean, the alternative, of course, if you want to do that, you could start investing and donating in people, never have anything nice for yourself because you want to go around and make positive contributions. That'd be a beautiful life, but everybody else is living their life and you're putting yours on hold to do things. Again, that's a beautiful existence if you can bring yourself to live like that. But it sounds to me someone speaking like that isn't doing that and they're just resentful in their own private space. Again, not saying people shouldn't support people. I'm not saying people shouldn't invest and wealthy people shouldn't do their best to help humanity. But it's not for anybody, personally, I think, to tell someone how to spend any of their money or live their life. It's up to them. If they have no guilty conscience, they've got no guilty conscience. It's not for me to say that's a good or bad thing. So your life is yours. I'll live my life on my terms. I really don't care if someone takes exception to it, if people think, oh, you should be doing this. I'm not someone's puppet. So people can have an opinion, but it'll never sway me or never affect me in any way. Throughout my life, I really couldn't care less. So whether you're poor, whether you're wealthy, it's irrelevant. If my life is my life. I owe no one anything. No one owes me anything. And I don't owe anyone anything. And it'll always be that way with me. You know, if someone helps me, there's a good chance I'm going to help them. I'm going to help them back. It's even. You know, so this even any point in my life, if anyone ever gets some sort of notion in their head that I owe them anything, really reality check. You know, doesn't mean I'm selfish and I would never help people. I'll help people on my terms and who I choose to at a given moment. It's never going to be someone demands it. And as soon as someone demands it off me, they'll probably find I could say it's a no. Because I'll just rather let them just be pissed off because it's that entitlement that pisses me off. You know, be humble. So anyway, when millionaires can't afford medical bills, I think that should highlight how wrong America is. That opens up another question of society. And I'm going to be honest, I'm terrified of America right now myself. I think about if I was to travel to America, even just for holiday or for business opportunity, heaven forbid you get ill. It just changes your life immediately, doesn't it? You can go to a poorer country, maybe has less infrastructure, so maybe your health is at risk going to those countries if you got ill because they might not have the quality of service that you would expect somewhere more affluent. That's a problem, isn't it? So it's cheap, it's free potentially, but the service isn't even very good at all. That's dangerous for our health. In America, I always think you're like one moment away from losing everything just because of an illness, which is quite crazy because a lot of places in the world were not like that. So even just being there as a tourist, you might forget that that's what it's like. That's the reality that so many have to live with. It is ridiculous. But that's something for America to fix because it's just greed. That's the corporate greed. And that's the actual that's the pharmaceutical companies, that's the hospitals, that's the whole medical infrastructure in America where it's all about money and finances rather than curing and helping people. But until that changes, what can you do? You know. But again, attacking other people isn't going to solve that problem. It's about money management, living within your means. She could sell one house. Again, what's it got to do with them? She could do this, she could do that, she could do this, she could do that. Focus on your own freaking life. Don't worry about someone else's financial management. Why would you even get involved in a debate like that? I only do these videos to raise awareness, to make people see things in their life, like be a mirror to people. You know, once this camera goes off, I'm not thinking about any of this shit. You know, I see it. I see how flawed people are with their way, their perspective of the world, and I think, I'm going to have to do a video for an hour. I'll take an hour of my time to just raise awareness. People can hate me for it, whatever. But I've done my bit. And then I leave it be. I never think of it again. I don't sit there thinking about this sort of crisis on a regular basis. I've got my own life to live, you know. Money management shouldn't come into vital life-saving medicine. She can maybe downsize. What about other people? This just highlights how dumb the American system is. Bonuses before lives. I'm not going to keep commenting now. I'm just going to tell you what it says. You already know my opinion. People are just obsessed with other people's lives. This is what it comes down to, and this is all I see continuously. Stop giving your taxes to Israel and help the real needy, not those who live in a 4 million home. Why should people give her money then? There are others who need it more, and it was her decision to have 6 kids. I will say this, because I think this is the misconception. I think this is that video. Okay, I'm back to it now. What that person said in this video was, the GoFundMe that the family put up, that the wife put up when James Van Der Beek died, people got outraged because they didn't realize, because it's not known. When they do that, they're not asking the average person to contribute. So that's probably where people have got a bit outraged. When they do if a celebrity ever does a GoFundMe, it's primarily, or really just only, with the understanding that other wealthy people they know in that sort of field, like in the entertainment industry, is for them to donate, which is why you had the famous people donating to his GoFundMe. It wasn't about someone who is just living a normal life, struggling from day to day, expected to contribute. It was only going to be those who could afford to, those more affluent. So that's where this crossover has caused a bit of an issue. So they're not asking you and me to invest in their luxurious lifestyle. They're asking people who can support them, who have the means to do so. And yeah, it's a bit shitty that maybe they don't help the average, like they don't go and have a look at other GoFundMes and invest in them. But then who am I to say they don't? That's the thing. Some people like to be anonymous. So you can't judge someone's life because unless you're in it. So, and again, even if they don't do that, it's their business. Not everyone's going to be humanitarian. It's got to make peace with that, you know. It's not for any of us to decide someone else's life. It's just crazy. Because where does it end? So anyway, so they put because someone else, but because she's begging for money, because she can no longer afford it, maybe the decision and made the decision to have 6 kids. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? Made the decision to have 6. Now they're trying to spite them for having kids and actually having love around them. Oh my God. Life has so many unforeseen circumstances. Because she expects others to, it for her choice. Someone's put this. Instead of fighting over the scraps, maybe take a look at the people hoarding all the wealth. She is left with extortionate amount of tax. I don't know what that word says. And medical bills. They don't have that kind of money. He has been unable to work for years while battling cancer. If you don't want to give, don't. But don't claim to know what his family does and doesn't have. There are someone finally speaking up. That's exactly right. But you're fit, question mark. He worked his whole life to secure a future for his family. He's done that by buying the house with money from the LA house sale. Considering all the medical debt they had to pay, this makes sure the kids can be looked after and nurtured. Under Texan rules, a homestead cannot be taken to pay debt, so this guaranteed his wife and kids have a home. You don't have to donate to the GoFundMe page. It's not compulsory. Of course, they already sacrificed so many things, but you know exactly what happens because you are in their shoes. Oh, no, you aren't. Exactly. So there's some people there a bit balanced and they can actually understand that. They're not freaking resentful. It's this people that just want what other people have, but they don't say it. You know, they want to act like they're the victim. And then when they're in their shoes, you see them acting worse. I understand they bought a $7 million house right before he sadly passed away, question mark. I read a $5 million ranch indeed. See, red. What's true though? Yep, might be the case. I revisited the news and it was a ranch. I mean, I really liked him, a generational icon, but I'm really wondering now. Why wonder? Just get on with your fucking life. I don't want to swear, but I'm getting irritated with these people. You know, stop acting like you get to freaking have autonomy over someone's life, pass judgment, and get to decide how and what they do. Who are these people? They're thick as shit. They must have a list of people they just want to debate every day and go, oh, this isn't right. They shouldn't be doing that. Get a life, you sad bastard. That's what I think deep down when I think of some of these people. I try to be more balanced day to day and within certain things, but there's some people I just look and just think you're an absolute prat. Real moron of a human being. It's like until you get your head out your ass, you're never going to freaking find your way out. You've said so far up other people's asses, you can't even find your freaking daylight. Anyway, also renting another home out. Couldn't make this up. Greed at its finest. All right, mate. His name's Joker. Says it there. I believe they were renting, so who knows the truth except friends and family? What did I just say? Yep, seems that the information is conflicting, no doubt. I don't see the problem with this, to be honest. Truth be told, we'd all use the resources at our disposal to secure our children's financial future. Yeah. Exploiting his celebrity to achieve that is just another means of doing it, much like selling a property of possessions. People don't have to donate, so if it doesn't sit right, then don't. There are thankfully, there's some actually grounded people in this. Nobody's business. If people want to give, then let them. Then they shouldn't have all the information available to make an informed decision then. Like the fact that they bought a $5 million ranch a month prior to his death. Therefore, they're asking for money they absolutely don't need, and people need to know that. I don't want people, I can't even read it. I think they would be more positive, but I can't read it. I'm missing set with words. I can't be trying to decipher a fragmented sentence. I do feel like before there is any crowdfunding, she should downsize their home and get a job and then crowdfund. Oh, good for you to have that opinion. Why don't you go and tell her and say that you're really not happy with this? Sad act. And also crowdfund across the wealthy people they mingle with, not the ordinary public. That's what they've done. They enjoy $2.5 million from their recently bought $4 million home. They didn't need it. Someone's put incorrect. I agree and disagree. I'm happy they've raised money for his family. At the same time, it makes me sad to watch because I'm in need of bone marrow transplant that costs $300,000. I'm guessing dollars. I'm a single father. I've been saving for the last year doing extra jobs. Only 87,000 more to go. Hoping I make it in time for my kids. Look, that is really sad. So I started off thinking, it's been a bit ridicule. That's a personal situation. It's an incredibly disadvantage, and I get it. And it isn't fair. But like, wishing someone else doesn't have something because you need it isn't going to bring it to you. That's in that situation, that's where we get two choices in life. When we're on our knees, we either keep it to ourselves and try to work our way through it, or you create multiple campaigns to try to get people to see your issue and help you. So if someone else does a GoFundMe, then someone else can do a GoFundMe. And it's up to you to make that GoFundMe in a way that would inspire someone to invest, to support you. If you don't put a lot of effort in, people are not going to see it. If you be honest, I think honesty is always the best policy. So if you talk about your issue, how it's affecting you day to day, how it's affecting those near you, and how it's really scaring you even, I think people, that vulnerability will make you endearing and people will gravitate towards it. You know, so I personally think in that situation, make a GoFundMe if you feel like you really, really need it. You know, if your future's important, isn't it? So sometimes our ego can get in the way and you go, I'm just going to do it myself. But then if you're going to do it yourself, you can't moan someone's got support. If you're going to put yourself out there, then go all in. See, with me, like when I need help and support, I don't ask anyone. I just do it. I don't expect, the thing with me, I've never expected anyone to come and help me. My mum helps me where she can, but that's the extent of it. I've never expected strangers to come. In fact, one person did, and I did document that in my book. They helped me a long time ago, a few years ago. And it was nice of them just to reach out, to help where they could. That was strange for me. I wasn't used to accepting anything of anyone. I didn't want to, but it was a surreal circumstance. But I'm someone that feels if I was to even make myself vulnerable like that, no one would help anyway. And I'm sure that's that self-defeating thing a lot of people have. So they don't want to make themselves vulnerable like that because they don't expect the support anyway. And of course, the other side of that is everybody's circumstance is different and there's always going to be someone worse off. So the real problem is everybody keeps competing anyway, and that's when that jealousy shit comes around. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't you? You should do something to try to help get your circumstance. As soon as you try and do something, someone says, "Oh, it's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. My situation's worse." So you can't win. You just can't win. So society's messed up in general anyway. I'm not really going to keep going through these now. What I'm going to do, it's going to irritate me. It's just stupid. People too many opinion on other people's lives and finances. It's just a joke. What I'll leave a link of this here. I mean, you can see it here anyway in the top there, look, across the screen here. But I'm going to put a link anyway. I always do in the video description. I'm not going to go deeper into this. I was going to make it a longer video, but to be totally honest, I think we're just going to end up going around in circles. And I think I've covered. You can see how pissed off I am to a degree. I don't hide it. So where other people can have their opinion, by all means, have that opinion. If I don't comment, it's because I can't be asked. To be totally honest, I don't like going around in circles too much. And I just feel if the comments start flooding, I just think personally it's going to be the same as this shit. It'll be the same thing, won't it? It'll be someone saying the same repeated record that other people have already said here. That'll be in the comment. And then there'll be someone trying to either defend or just agree with that. And we just got a copy paste of this shit. It doesn't do anything. Just focus on improving your life. Don't worry so much about what other people doing. Don't get resentful. Maybe then your life will improve. But if you live your life entirely negative, you're really attracting that shit towards you. So either live a life more positive and uplifting, or live a life really downbeat and negative, and see which one brings you happiness. Because I'm pretty sure the one where you're more appreciative of what, even if you have a very minimal, if you can appreciate at least what you have and not keep worrying about what other people have, your life is more likely to elevate and improve. If you sit there in the doldrums, obsessing about other people, spiteful, resentful, you're not really inspiring any change, are you, really? I mean, it's not really something where people are going to gravitate towards someone like that. Think about it. If you're going to moan about people, you'll probably, and then you expect people to support you, you're probably going to bitch and moan about them as well. If you're miserable in your life, just say it. You're going to be miserable in everything. Now, I know there's deeper connotations since I've already said that in other areas, so I'm not without compassion. I understand people's plight, but it's like it's about getting ourselves out of those situations however we can, but it's not obsess about what other people have and be resentful, because they're two different things. People think both can be the same. They can't. It really can't. You can't. It's just ridiculous. You can improve your life, but you don't have to sort of focus so heavily on other people. So they can have their $2.6 million, and you can go make it. So if they say someone else is struggling, you can go make a GoFundMe just like them. Maybe you won't reach $2.6 million. Maybe you will. But maybe you get stuff that'll help change your life and improve your circumstance. And then you won't feel, and then maybe you'll think, I didn't really need to obsess about them, did I? Because my life's changing too. Do something about it is what I'm saying. Do something about it in your own life.